Hi, this is Associate Professor Hawalamina Booker, and you're welcome to another session of Management Insights. We're going to keep it short and simple. So today we're going to be discussing on entrepreneurial environment. And this is something that touches to the heart because I'm an entrepreneur by nature. And of course, I teach entrepreneurs myself. And with that, throughout the years, I've been able to see, the way we've been able to shift the minds of youths towards being entrepreneurially inclined. But today we're going to look at the entrepreneurial environment and understand how the environment in itself, that's the environment in which we find ourselves, how it affects the abilities, capabilities, and output of entrepreneurs or startups across the nation. And with that, let's get into it. Talking about entrepreneurial environment, entrepreneurship in itself, we say that entrepreneurial environment is a combination of factors that play a role in the development of entrepreneurship. Now, when we talk about factors, I want you to imagine the entrepreneurial environment as a bubble whereby you have different components that play a major role in determining the success of an individual. Now, even though these various elements on their own can't determine whether an individual is going to be successful in their entrepreneurship journey or not, but they all play a functional role towards achieving that. And one cannot do without the other. So we're going to look at these elements and understand what are the components of the entrepreneurial environment, or what is expected for entrepreneurship to thrive in an environment, and then also look at it from the context of Nigeria and how these elements or the role they play towards either the success or unsuccessful nature of entrepreneurs within the environment that we find ourselves. Now, we can also say that entrepreneurial environment refers to the overall economic, social, cultural, and political factors that influence people's willingness and ability to undertake entrepreneurial activities. And that's why we're going to delve deep, again, looking at these components to look at various factors like the cultural environment, meaning our background, our family backgrounds, our cultural, traditional, religious backgrounds, and the role that they play towards actualizing our mindset or igniting our mindset towards wanting to be entrepreneurially inclined, or towards taking risks and trying something out of the box, being creative. Also, secondly, we can also say the entrepreneurial environment, it refers to the availability of assistance and support services that facilitate the startup process. And this is where government comes in. This is where for an environment to be thriving in entrepreneurship, there has to be certain support services or elements that are put in place that helps towards supporting or assisting the entrepreneurs within the environment in which they find themselves. And this actually makes or breaks an individual to decide whether they want to pursue entrepreneurship or not. Now, just looking at it from the context of Nigeria, we can see how entrepreneurship, to a certain extent, is something that's making waves. But the issue now is how thriving is entrepreneurship in Nigeria, as a country. And you ask yourself, and I'm sure some of you will say it's thriving, please put your comments down and tell us what your own perspective of entrepreneurship in Nigeria is and how you see it and whether you think it's thriving or not. But just looking at it from my own perspective, I see how youths are willing to put their foots forward towards trying out new things. They have wonderful ideas, creative ideas that are out of the box. But at the end of the day, having the support system, which goes back to these elements, whether you're talking about the support system from the family structure unit, or you're talking about support from the community, or support from the government or the universities, educational systems, once that support is not there, then the likelihood of that idea or that startup thriving becomes more and more difficult. And that's why we're going to break down these elements and look at them and see what, as a society in the Nigerian context, what we have to put in place to make sure thriving is at its best. We could also look at it from the context of, though we're going to look at these elements in the context of the educational system, and we see how Nigeria is making effort, whether it's from the educational system or it's from training institutions, whereby they have programs that are put in place to provide finances for ideas, that are startup ideas or business ideas. These are all elements that are put in place as support services or support systems to make sure that entrepreneurship thrives. We can see in the educational system whereby it becomes mandatory for all youths to participate in what we call the GST entrepreneurship itself, and the whole essence and point of that is that whether you're from the background of pure sciences, management sciences, engineering, at the end of the day, or law, at the end of the day, you have to have that foundational knowledge and skills in terms of entrepreneurship. And again, these are the kind of elements that we're talking about, that we can see Nigeria is making an effort towards trying to make sure entrepreneurship thrives across the country. And as we go on, we're going to look at more. And so with that, let's start dabbling into what we call the entrepreneurial environment, the internal environment and the external environment.